I had always been told to stay away from the old, mostly abandoned part of town. It was a place where strange things happened and even stranger people lived. It wasn't abandoned in the sense that no one lived there, but in the sense that society had given up on the people there long ago and they, in turn, had given up on society. The rumors about this place were many. Some said that the people who lived there were cursed, others whispered of dark and deranged practices involving the occult. Rumors had also circulated for years about mysterious disappearances, ghostly sightings and eerie noises coming from the buildings. But I was a journalist and I didn't believe in superstitions. I was determined to get to the bottom of the rumors and write a story that would make my career. As I ventured deeper, the only light came from the dim glow of my flashlight, which cast long shadows on the crumbling buildings. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, but I told myself it was just my imagination. I couldn't help but notice the eerie silence that hung in the air. The only sound came from the creaking of old wooden floors and the rustling of leaves in the wind. But it was more than just the silence that made me uneasy. It was the people themselves. The residents of this town seemed almost inhuman. Their eyes were dull and lifeless, and their skin was a sickly pale color. They moved slowly and deliberately, as if they were in a trance. They didn't speak, they didn't even make eye contact, they just stared straight ahead. I tried to talk to some of the residents, but they didn't respond. It was as if they couldn't hear me. They simply went about their business as if I wasn't even there. It was as if they had been possessed by something sinister. As the night went on, I felt a growing sense of dread. I couldn't shake the feeling that something terrible was about to happen. And then I heard the scratching. It was a faint scratching, like claws on concrete. I spun around, shining my flashlight into the shadows, but there was nothing there. Shaking my head, I told myself it was just a stray cat or a rat and continued on my way. But the scratching persisted, growing louder and more frenzied with each step I took. I picked up my pace, my heart pounding in my chest. I could feel something following me, something that wasn't human. Just as I thought I had outrun whatever was chasing me, a hand reached out from a dark alley and grabbed my arm. I screamed and struggled to break free, but the grip was too strong. I was dragged into the darkness, my flashlight tumbling to the ground and going out. As I was pulled deeper into the alley, I caught a glimpse of my attacker's face. It was a twisted, skeletal visage with glowing red eyes. And then, there was nothing. When I woke up, I was in a cold, damp basement. My head was throbbing and my mouth tasted like metal. I tried to sit up, but my hands were tied behind my back and my feet were bound. Panic set in as I realized I was not alone. There were other people in the room with me, all of them tied up and gagged like me. We were all lying on the ground, facing the wall. I could hear them sobbing quietly, and I knew I had to do something. I struggled against my restraints, but they wouldn't budge. That's when I heard the footsteps. Heavy, shuffling footsteps that grew louder as they approached. The door at the top of the stairs creaked open and a figure appeared, silhouetted against the light. It was the same twisted, skeletal creature with glowing red eyes that had attacked me in the alley. The creature began to speak in a guttural language that I couldn't understand. But its intentions were clear. It was trying to decide who its next victim would be. It walked down the line of bound people, pausing to inspect each one. I could see the terror in their eyes as it got closer. I knew that I had to do something, anything to escape. So, I pretended to be unconscious, hoping that the creature would pass me by. I closed my eyes and stopped breathing, playing dead. The creature came closer and closer, until I could feel its fetid breath on my face. It hesitated for a moment, and then moved on. I let out a sigh of relief and opened my eyes to see the creature dragging its latest victim up the stairs. I didn't waste any time. I shifted my weight and kicked at the ropes binding my feet. They snapped, and I quickly untied my hands. I stumbled to my feet and made my way to the door. I could hear the creature moving around upstairs, but I knew that I had to take my chance while I could. I crept up the stairs and peered into the room above. It was empty, but I could hear the creature's heavy breathing coming from the next room. I tiptoed over to the door and slowly pushed it open. After I escaped the basement, I found myself in a large, run-down house. The windows were boarded up, and the paint was peeling from the walls. The smell of decay and mold was overwhelming. The creature was there, its back to me. It was hunched over its latest victim, its jaws open wide. I knew that I couldn't let it finish what it had started. I picked up a nearby pipe and hit the creature as hard as I could. The creature let out a deafening screech and stumbled away. I hit it again and again, until it finally fell to the ground, motionless. I untied the victim and helped them to their feet. I went back into the basement and made my way over to the other people in the room. One by one, I untied them and helped them to their feet. We stumbled up the stairs, our legs weak and shaky. When we emerged into the night air, we saw that we were still in the old part of town. We ran as fast as we could, not stopping until we reached the city limits. We collapsed on the ground, weeping with relief and gratitude. I never went back to that part of town again, and I never wrote that story. Some things are better left alone. But I will never forget the terror of that night, and the twisted, skeletal creature with glowing red eyes that almost claimed me as its next victim.